Sabres and Red Wings on Saturday afternoon in a big game for the Sabres in division, team they're competing with, even in the standings. It's meaningful already. We'll get to it all, lines, all of it coming up here on the Locked On Sabres podcast.
Your Locked On Sabres, your daily podcast on the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thanks for making Locked On Sabres your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode of the Locked On Sabres podcast with Sneaky Joe DiBiase here on today's show, of course, brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Friday show here as we get you ready for the Sabres and the Red Wings on Saturday afternoon at KeyBank Center. The Sabres will be back in action then, and there is a chance that you open up the standings on Saturday afternoon between when the Sabres play at a 1 o'clock puck drop and when all the other teams in the Atlantic Division would play on Saturday night. And the Sabres just might be tied in points with second place in the Atlantic Division. They would be third, I think, because of tiebreakers and whatnot, but there's a chance out there that they get there. They're going to need a result tonight, though. Friday night, if you're listening to this on Friday and don't know the result yet, Ottawa will be in action. If Ottawa wins, then that changes around. But listen, the Atlantic Division standings, we'll talk more about the Atlantic Division as a whole and how it's begun next week, but a quick look is that Florida's off to a good start, as they typically, you would expect, 5-3-1. They're at 11 points. Ottawa is right now in second with 8 points in 6 games played. Sabres, by the way, for context, are 7 points in 8 games. Tampa, 8 points in 7 games. Detroit, 8 points in 7 games. Toronto, 8 points in 7 games. And Boston is the exact same record as the Sabres do at 3-4-1. So Boston has struggled out of the gates. Toronto has struggled out of the gates. Detroit was struggling. We'll talk more about them today. They are playing better now. Tampa, iffy to start the season. Everybody looks iffy. Ottawa looks good. I will say that. Ottawa does look very good. I'm going to get a look at them in this game tonight that they're playing. But the Atlantic is very gettable. The Sabres have not lost much ground on anybody yet. Montreal, as everyone predicted, is right there at the bottom. So that's a quick look at it. So the Sabres could win, get to 9 points, and there's a chance that's actually above Ottawa, above Tampa, above Detroit. So no, I'm sorry. They would be in second. If Ottawa were to lose tonight and the Sabres win tomorrow, they'd be in second. If Ottawa wins tonight, third place, which wouldn't be bad at all. So good to look forward to. I want to get to, of course, a preview of tonight's game. I've got my sneaky parlay a little bit later on in today's show. We'll preview what's going on with the Red Wings, how their season started, and of course, their last couple of games which have looked a lot better for Detroit and the strengths of their team. I've been off on a bunch of teams the last couple of years. I've been very off on Boston. I've been off on Tampa, trying to predict those teams and their demise. The one team I'll take the victory lap on that I have been on the money on has been Detroit. Detroit, for 2 straight years, have been in a playoff spot midway through the season, and I just look at the numbers, I watch their games, I look at their roster, and I just can never see why they're doing it, how they're doing it. And both times, they have proven to be faulty builds, proven to be faulty teams that weren't as good as they were in the standings, ended up collapsing and missing the postseason 2 years in a row. Last year when they were in a playoff spot for like half the season, like a long time, and they didn't make it. So we'll get to Detroit a little bit later on. Of course, if you want to reach out, you want to ask a comment or question on our text line, or if you want it right on the podcast here, which we try to do once in a while here, at least once per show, you can sign up for our Locked On Sabres text club by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnSabres. Most recent comment in there is about Zach Benson, and one texter writing in, he thinks Zach Benson needs to take a few games off. That's okay. Kulich cannot come out of this lineup. And that is where I wanted to start today's show. Is the Sabres and their tough roster decision that is going to be coming up when guys get healthy. Because the update right now is they're probably not going to make this decision for Saturday. This is more of a into next week type of storyline. The Sabres are getting healthier. Nicholas Aube-Kubel was on the ice today, Friday, practicing with the team. And Lindy Ruff said that Aube-Kubel is available for Saturday's game and for this weekend. But as Lance Lysowski of the Buffalo News and other Buffalo Sabres beat guys have chimed in on this, they don't think it sounds like he'll play. And then Zach Benson, who I don't think is out long-term, he's just, as the texter just said, like they're getting him to fully healthy. Benson is still not practicing. So Benson's not playing on Saturday, and it doesn't sound like Aube-Kubel is playing on Saturday. So for now, the lines will stay the same. And actually, you know what? Let's put those up for you on our YouTube channel. Of course, you can watch our show on YouTube if you ever want to. The lines for tomorrow's game are as advertised, as they've been. No big changes. Thompson, Peterka, Tuck, Cousins, Quinn, Kulich, McLeod, Zucker, and Greenway, Krebs, Lafferty, and Malenstyn. I do think when Benson returns and they decide on what they want to do in the top 9, that's another subject. But on the fourth line, I bet Lafferty goes back to center and Aube-Kubel goes to the wing. Krebs then, if you don't want to take him out of the lineup, like he's going onto your second line and on the wing. Or maybe it's center and they bump Cousins to the wing. They're going to have an interesting decision is all. But this is what the lineup is going to look like for tomorrow's game forward-wise. In terms of, though, what's ahead? It's a tough one. Who do you take out? Everyone, that lineup right there, who that they're going to put on the ice tomorrow against the Red Wings, who do you take out? It's not an easy call. A lot of people will have a different answer on this front because I do think Zach Benson has to go back in the lineup. I would put Benson back in the lineup almost every time. Aube-Kubel, I don't think you have to, but I bet I'm going to be in the minority there. I think a lot of people think you signed him. He looked good in the first couple of games. He's fast. He's physical. He chipped in a goal, right? Or got robbed, right? Or he did chip in a goal after that. Aube-Kubel is a guy you want on your fourth line. So you put him in. And then that's two guys. Who do you take out? Who do you take out? And I think there's a couple ways to do it. If you want to do it just strictly on the merit of play, you're taking Jack Quinn out of the lineup. I think you're taking Jack Quinn out of the lineup if you're doing it just based on who's playing the best right now, who's playing the worst right now. Who's playing the worst, they're coming out. That answers Jack Quinn. For multiple games, out of the 12 forwards that they've dressed, he's been the 12th best on a bunch of different occasions. And I have not seen anything that looks all that impressive to me. He's not moving very fast. He's not producing a lot of chances. He doesn't look very dangerous. He's not making many smart plays with the puck. He doesn't look good in his own end. I don't know if there's a single element of Jack Quinn's game that looks good right now. And I don't think that's going to happen all year. That's why it'd be tough for me to pull him out. I need him. If I'm the Sabres, I need him. I need him to get going. I need him to score goals. It's good that right now, Ryan McLeod, Jordan Greenway, and Jason Zucker are chipping in offensively. They have been the Sabres' second best line. While the Sabres' second line is figuring out what the hell they're doing, the Sabres' third line has said, guys, we got it. You figure out your bleep. We're going to step up. We'll produce offense here. We'll be the shutdown line too. We got this for you. I just don't know how long that's going to go for. I wouldn't count on it for the whole year. Of course, Ryan McLeod, who's got 4 goals in 8 games, is not going to score 40 goals this year. That's just not going to happen. Jordan Greenway is not going to produce offense like he is, where he's on a 25-goal pace. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Jason Zucker, who's got 5 assists on the season, is going to end the year with 50 assists. These guys are good players, and I think they'll contribute at times throughout the year offensively. They're going to contribute maybe every night defensively, but I don't know how much longer you could count on them to be the only other line, other than the Tage Thompson line, that is producing scoring chances. With that being said, I need to leave Quinn in. I need him to figure it out. I need him to start producing. Putting him in the press box, I don't think is going to do anything for him. I don't think. Maybe you think it'll keep him a little fresher. Maybe you think he just needs to watch the games at the press box for whatever reason. I don't know. I need to get him moving, and I need to get him going. I think Lindy Ruff is probably going to continue to take ice time away when guys are not performing well. But will he put a guy like that in the press box more than once? He's done it once, but will he continue to go back to it? Because there's only so many times you could do that. He's a young player, first-round pick. They have a lot invested in development-wise. I think they're going to want to sign to a contract at some point. They're going to want him to be worthy of that. You just can't sit him every night. Like, that's a temporary solution. You don't leave Jack Quinn out for a month, you know? You don't healthy scratch him for 2 weeks at a time. You just don't do that. So you could scratch him for a game, but that's not a permanent solution to me. What I'm looking for, what I'm discussing here, trying to figure out, is who's the permanent scratch? Who's the nightly scratch? Who's in the rotation of scratches? And I just don't think Quinn could be in a regular rotation when it comes to who's a scratch. Same goes for Cousins. Somebody might be listening right now and saying, hey, Joe, Cousins has played just as poorly as Jack Quinn has. One, I would say he has not played just as poorly, maybe close. I do think Quinn's been worse. Cousins at least is starting to get chances. Cousins looks very fast out there, and he's just he's just snake bitten right now. Quinn just is irrelevant to me. If it were me, I think I would scratch Malenstyn. I would scratch Malenstyn, and then I need one more, though. That's the thing here. And the second guy that I think I would scratch right now would probably be Krebs. No, actually, wait, sorry, I can't do that because then your fourth line, you're going to have to put a kid down there. Okay, no, this is what I would do. All right. I would scratch Malenstyn, and then I would have a rotation between Benson and Kulik. That's, I think, what I would do. Get them both minutes, both get them in, keep them healthy, keep them fresh, long 82-game seasons like that, wear and tear on their bodies, at least at the start of the year, see who's playing better, and maybe you go back and forth between Benson and Kulik. That would probably be what I would do right now, but I don't know if there are a lot of great answers to this, who they're going to play. Next week, we're going to find out what Lindy Ruff's plan for that is. When we come back, we will get to the Detroit Red Wings coming up here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. We are presented here on the Locked On Sabres podcast by FanDuel Sportsbook, and we will get to our sneaky parlay a little later on in today's show with our friends over at FanDuel, who will provide us the odds, of course, and then the parlay odds. But it's not just hockey, World Series, NFL. And NFL fans, if you want to get the season rolling with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, go check out the odds futures, odds on the game, over-unders for this Sunday. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, too, you can check out latest stats, view some live play-by-play, and a bunch more on the same exact page where you place your bets. You get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. You can check all that out at FanDuel.com. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Sneaky Joe DiBiase back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Again, if you want to check us out on YouTube, I got a whole new graphic. We got a bunch of new graphics to show you. You got to check out the YouTube channel. I got my backdrop here with all my gizmos and gadgets up here. I got the 0506 Sabre plaque up here with Miller, Briere, Drury, and LaFontaine. The right 4 players, right, for that. We got the signed Thomas Vanek picture. I'll take you, every now and then, we should take you back here. Who we got? We got the Kyle Okposo 1,000 game stick that they gave out that night. We've got our little dragon here, of course, our red and black dragon that they started selling at the Sabre store. Only a little bit of a hunch that they did that because I said that the logo looked like a dragon. That's probably not why they did it. Or maybe. I've got an official National Hockey League puck from the 1970s. No idea what game. We got the medallions from the 2006-2007 Sabres you were buying at Wilson Farms back in the day. Signed Dominic Hasek picture, Ryan Miller special beer, Stu Barnes bobblehead. We got a lot of stuff up here. I got my Just Dishin' hat on today. They just released a whole new line of stuff at the New Era store today. There goes the 1970s puck. See, you would have missed that if you were listening to the show. Anyways, check us out on YouTube. To the Red Wings, Sabres and Red Wings coming your way at 1 o'clock on Saturday at KeyBank Center. The Sabres will be wearing black and red. By the way, it's the first Goat Heads game of the season, which means they can't lose because they are a far better team in black and red than they are in blue and gold. So I hope to get that off on the right track. It's Hockey Halloween as well, so a lot of fans will be wearing costumes. Should be a fun game. A lot of kids in attendance, I know. And the Red Wings are an opponent that I don't know how confident I am about it. I actually... I didn't want to touch the money line straight up in my parlay a little bit later on. We'll get to that. Or the puck line where the Sabres are favored. Because here's the thing with Detroit. Detroit right now, they're winning games the way they've won games in the past. They get on these runs where they're not even that great of an overall team, but there's this one thing that's kind of carrying them game to game where sometimes it's goaltending, sometimes it's the power play, sometimes it's lucky goals that go in off shin pads and just the overtime points. The Red Wings, I have not been impressed by for multiple seasons running now. And this year so far through 8 games, no different to me at all. The Red Wings have a decent roster. It's not bad. It's not great. They have some pretty good players. How many elite players do they have, though? This has been my complaint about the Sabres, is how many elite players do you have? If I were to rank the best players in the Atlantic Division, where do the Sabres' best players rank? Well, I will say this. I think the Sabres' best players rank higher than the Red Wings' best players because I at least have Tage Thompson when he's cooking is on that level. I at least have Dahlin when he's cooking on that level. I got 2. I know they're not doing it all the time. Detroit, who do I got? Is it Moritz Seider? Because that's not happening to the same degree that it is with Dahlin. Dylan Larkin's not that guy for me. He's good, but he's not Tage Thompson good, 95 points ceiling good. They have a bunch of pretty good players, and I don't think that's enough to win big in today's NHL. If you look at their lines up top, it's a bunch of second, third lines, and that's fine. Dylan Larkin, Alex DeBrincat, Lucas Raymond. That's a good line. Is it number 1 line? Feels like a little more like number 2 line. Marco Kasper, who I like. Patrick Kane and Vladimir Tarasenko. Pretty good. That's a second line. Third line even. Andrew Kopp, Christian Fischer, Michael Rasmussen. That's a third line. They don't have a top reliable first line. The Sabres' first line, to me, is better than the Red Wings' first line. Thompson, Tuck, and Peterka. There's more upside with it. And Thompson is really the biggest reason for that because when he's going at his best, it's better than anything Detroit has. The Red Wings this year, some of the advanced numbers, they've never been a great advanced numbers team. This season, expected goals for percentage. Where do they rank? 31st. Corsi for percentage. Shot attempts. Where do they rank? 31st. Save percentage. Where do they rank? 4th. And that's why I'm hesitant to be confident about this game for the Sabres tomorrow. Because the Detroit Red Wings have won 3 games in a row. And how they've done that is they are getting incredible goaltending. And they're getting it from a duo right now of Alex Lyon and Cam Talbot, who are splitting the net so far this year. Ville Husso played 1 game, got waived. I don't think he's a part of the picture for the rest of the season. It's Talbot and it's Lyon. And Alex Lyon is going to start tomorrow against the Buffalo Sabres. Alex Lyon, this is the reason why I'm not 100% confident. He's hot right now. And this is a goaltender that has gotten hot in the past. Remember with Florida, 2 years ago, he was the 3rd string goalie to start the year. Spencer Knight went into the league assistance program. Bobrovsky dealt with some injuries. And then late in that year, when Florida was with the Sabres on the verge of missing the playoffs, Alex Lyon took the net over. He played 14 games. He got, out of those 28 possible points, he got 20 points. as the Florida goaltender, 912 save percentage, backstopped them to get to the postseason. And then started the playoffs for them. He got benched for Bobrovsky, and then Bobrovsky took him the rest of the way to the finals. Lions showed to be pretty good in the past. Last year, 43 games played for Detroit, 904 save percentage. Not bad, not great, not even very good, average. This year, Alex Lyon, a 955 save percentage. That is one of the best marks in hockey. Goals saved above expected. He's the 5th best goaltender in the NHL so far. He's only started 3 games, so keep that in mind, but he is 5th in goals saved above expected. Lions hot, and the Sabres are running into a hot goaltender tomorrow when they face Detroit. But on the overall, it's not a team that scares me. Not a team that scares me in the least. It's a team the Sabres have to be better than this year. There is no ifs, ands, and buts about it. If they want to make the playoffs, they have bigger fish to fry. Boston looks vulnerable right now. Track them down. Tampa looks vulnerable right now. Track them down. Toronto looks vulnerable right now. Less confident about that, but go track them down. One of the 3. Just one of the 3. You can't be looking behind you. You got to put yourself above the rest of the pack. Ottawa right now looks really good. They look like they're ready to take that next step. Detroit is floundering over 3-game stretches, as they always do. Go beat the Red Wings and just put them down in the standings and show that, you know what, we're going up here. You stay down there, we're going up there. And when you're on home ice, multiple day rest, afternoon game, like that's when you got to get them. That's when you got to get them. So big game, I think, for the Sabres when it comes to the standings and who the opponent is for tomorrow. But as I mentioned, Lyon starting in goal does make it a little precarious because he's like the hottest goalie in hockey at this very moment. When we come back, my sneaky parlay of the game. Feeling good about it, and we'll get to it when we come back. Go through the odds, too, here on the Locked On Sabres podcast with Sneaky Joe DiBiase. Today's episode of the Locked On Sabres podcast is brought to you by Gametime. I used the Gametime app the other night. Tuesday night was going to the Sabres and Stars game. Thought I had tickets. Had the wrong night. We're staying in front of the arena. Let me pull up Gametime. Bam. Tickets. Great deal. Right in the arena. Like in 2 seconds. Got them sent to my email, and I'm in. So go check out the Gametime app. They've got a lot of great features. My favorite is when you're scrolling through, you get your exact angle of what you're looking at for your seats. I knew when I picked my seats, I'm just high enough that I could see over the netting. That was important to me, and I got that. So that's available for you at Gametime. Gametime picks, filters out all the fluff for you, gives you only the best deals. You can check that out there as well. So check out Gametime, download the app, and all-in pricing, everything works perfect. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime. Today's episode of the Locked On Sabres podcast is also presented by PrizePicks. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money, sports action. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. Want to play PrizePicks alongside MMA champ Sean O'Malley, a bunch of other famous athletes? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the PrizePicks community each week. PrizePicks puts its numbers first. All withdrawals are safe, fast, and secure. With my picks, I get them almost instantly. Sign up today, get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. So PrizePicks. Look out different players, hockey, football, baseball, all available to you. And basketball, too, as that's rolling right now. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app. Use code LOCKEDONNHL, $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Check out PrizePicks in the PrizePicks app today. Final segment here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Time for my sneaky parlay for Sabres and Red Wings. The Sabres are favored in this game over Detroit, minus 137 on the money line. For you non-bettors, you'd have to bet $137 to win 100, or bet $13.70 to win 10, so on and so forth. Red Wings are plus 114. You bet 100 to win 114 on the Red Wings. The over-under for this game is 6.5 goals. The over is minus 108. The under is minus 112. Almost a exact pick'em for the over-under of 6.5 goals in this one. My sneaky parlay of the game. I am going back to the well. I'm not wavering. I am sticking to the JJ Peterka anytime goal bet until I see those odds go down or Peterka has a down year. One of those two. Peterka anytime goal plus 210 is what we got for that. That's going to be leg number 1. He got a bunch of chances the other night. He was also on the ice for empty net situations, which I think is important when you're trying to backdoor cover these bets. But Peterka is going to get opportunities on a nightly basis. That line is incredible. And rebound goals might be a big thing for Peterka. I saw today from Megan Chayka for ESPN, covers the NHL stat leads too, all the advanced stats. Number 1 and number 3 in the NHL in chances off the rush are Tage Thompson and Alex Tuch, 2 of Peterka's line mates. Peterka's up there too. He's just not top 5. Those are going to create rebound opportunities when he is flying through at 100 miles an hour. Those are going to create offensive zone possessions. Those 3 are always dangerous. Peterka's going to get his goals. Plus 210 is too low for him. He's below Alex Tuch. Alex Tuch's a very good player, but how many people right now think Alex Tuch will score more goals than JJ Peterka this year? Not me. I think Peterka will score more. Tuch will score a good amount, 20-25, but I think Peterka is going to be in the 30s. I would go Peterka plus 210. Second line, under 6.5 goals. Lyon in goal has been really good, so I'm going to go with him, and I'm also going to go with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, who we expect to start, and he's looked really good in the last couple of starts. So 2 good goalies in this game I think is going to help get that under 6.5 goals. And then I am going to go Sabres money line in regulation. I want the plus odds. So when you do the bet for just regulation, you get better odds, plus 110. You bet 100 to win 110. The reason this bet is a longer odds, of course, obviously, is if this game goes to overtime and the Sabres win, you don't. They have to win it in regulation. But I've got the Sabres winning a close game in regulation with Peterka scoring and there being less than 6.5 goals in this one. If you're interested in another bet for anytime goals, Thompson's plus 160. He is the favorite. Alex Tuch plus 200. I mentioned Peterka. Dylan Cousins plus 270. Jack Quinn plus 300. Jason Zucker plus 300. Yuri Kulik plus 360. The guy I bet a lot of people are going to like to see here is Ryan McLeod. Ryan McLeod plus 400 is behind Kulik, Zucker, Quinn, and Cousins. And I bet a lot of Sabre fans might put him over all of those guys right now. I mean, he has the most goals out of all of them, so that would feel maybe a little bit obvious. Power, by the way, plus 750. Not bad. Shots better, and he's on the ice all the time. You could do a lot worse. Power, same odds as Beck Malenstyn. Like, I like Power's odds a lot, too. But for the parlays purposes, I am going with Peterka to score a goal in this game. All right, enjoy Sabres and Red Wings. We still got to have our lengthy Jack Quinn conversation. I got to get into the odds on him, the numbers on him, because there's a lot to get to on that front here on the podcast. So, Sabres and Red Wings, 1 o'clock puck drop. We'll talk to you after the game. Enjoy it. And, of course, if you want to check out Locked On Fantasy Hockey, need some tips on your fantasy league, Steal and Flip have got you covered there. Or if you want a preview of Bills and Seahawks on Sunday, check out Joe Marino with the Locked On Bills podcast. We'll talk to you after Sabres and Red Wings here on the Locked On Sabres podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.